Tonight on CFTK-TV News, the Smithers RCMP are looking for a missing man, measles cases continue to climb inside BC, and another update about a severe case of child neglect has been released.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cal Maslin, and here's what's making the news in the Northwest and beyond for today. The Smithers RCMP recently put out a notice saying that they are seeking help in their search for a young man that is currently missing. The missing man's name is Cash Wilson, and his last known sighting was back on June 24th, with it also being known for him to frequent the area between Prince George and New Hazelton. Wilson has been described as an 18-year-old Indigenous man that is around 5'9", 161 pounds, and has both brown hair as well as brown eyes. Anyone with information that could lead to Wilson's discovery is being asked to call the Smithers RCMP at 250-847-3233 or BC Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. And sticking with the town of Smithers, their government has recently reported that there has been an increase in bear activity at the local area, mainly on the perimeter trail. As a result of this increase, the town of Smithers is taking it upon themselves to remind residents on the best ways to keep themselves safe from bears. Some of those tips include making sure your food and garbage are secured, traveling in groups when possible, and if you happen to see a bear, keep calm, make loud noises, and back away from it slowly. Approval to changes to the Prince Rupert Gas Transmission Project's route and infrastructure have locals once again sounding the alarm on potential impacts to the area. CFTK-TV's Jaylene Matthews reports.
In an assessment report published recently by BC's Environmental Assessment Office, they recommend approval to the requested amendments to the Prince Rupert Gas Transmission Project. Changes which include rerouting 172 kilometers of pipeline, adds 2 additional main-spread construction camps, and accommodate marine facilities along with other project changes, all without a new environmental certificate. In the assessment documents, many local nations are listed as being consulted. Metlakatla is listed as raising concerns on consultation, and the Gitgat, Gitakatla, and Kitsim-Kalem all stated consensus had not been reached on the recommendation to approve the amendment application. The EAO also lists that they received correspondence regarding the amendment from the Gitsan, and it says they responded to concerns, although the Gitsan have been very clear in their complete opposition to the project. It's written in the report that the Gitakatla, Gitgat, Kitsalis, Niska, and DFO expressed concerns about insufficient baseline data along the marine route alternative area, particularly for identification of glass sponge reef locations to be avoided and protected. Along with other wildlife, Ulikin were listed of concern following review of the draft report. Laxquilams stated they remained concerned about impacts to Ulikin and were not satisfied with PRGT's Ulikin memo, believing it lacked key information. One critic of the project, Graham Pohl, details some proposed impacts.
So if you've got a road like, say, the Pope Forest Service Road in the Kispiox Valley here, the pipeline would cross that road at about kilometer 4.5, 5. They're going to put a work camp at kilometer 3. So if you go berry picking, firewood gathering, hunting up the Pope Road, you can't do that anymore. So and that's just one of many, many, many roads right across the province, not just here, that would be closed to public access.
He says it puts a huge area of BC out of commission.
Government is not telling you this. Industry is not telling you this. They will just invade and shut it down. And we've seen it with Coastal GasLink. We've seen it with Trans Mountain. This is what's coming. And people need to be aware that they're being basically lied to by their governments on this.
Poll also lists several environmental concerns, particularly emissions.
Pure methane, the volume of which you can't get a number from industry, will be vented. And along with being noisy, it's just, this is a greenhouse gas. This is the driver of climate change, far more potent than carbon dioxide. It leaks everywhere through the pipeline industry process. And then it's intentionally flared, like at Kitimat, what's happening now. And it's intentionally vented as part of pipeline operations.
In their report, the EAO goes on to recommend a few new conditions before ultimately recommending to allow the changes to the certificate for the marine route alternative. For CFTK-TV News in Terrace, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
Coming up next, shots were fired at a cafe owned by a South Asian actor in Surrey. Welcome back. The number of people infected with measles keeps climbing in BC. More than 100 cases are now confirmed since the beginning of the year. 10 people have been hospitalized, and health officials are urging everyone to check on their vaccination status as summer travel ramps up. CTV's Penny Daflos now with what we know and whether Alberta's soaring infections are cause for concern.
As most British Columbians relax over summer break, doctors are watching to see if patients with flu-like symptoms develop a distinctive rash.
Measles is an extremely contagious virus.
Health officials gave an update on the spread in our province with 102 confirmed infections and 10 people having been hospitalized with severe symptoms. Most cases have been in northern BC in unvaccinated people, and now they're reaching out to those who could be next.
Starting with a kind of selected community in the northeast area that's most affected at risk right now, and organizing the outreach, including immunization clinics.
The province also texted 31,000 people whose vaccination status against measles is unclear, with hundreds choosing to immunize themselves.
They're very concerned about his disease that we thought we had eradicated through safe and effective vaccines.
This family doctor has teenage patients who are rejecting their parents' anti-vax upbringing.
I think it's a great part of youth rebellion to make sure that your vaccination is up to date.
While BC cases are low, Alberta has more than 1,200.
This is a public health emergency. It is a huge concern that we have unmitigated spread of a virus that is easily preventable.
The province has the most infections per capita in North America and just hosted several big events.
I would doubt we would see something that big, because that's actually very significant, like you described, what's happening in Alberta. Time will tell, but we don't have that level of concern. But we are, of course, concerned it's measles.
Symptoms can last 10 to 21 days, and complications will send 1 in 10 to hospital. Qualified experts insist the best approach is prevention through vaccines and urge people to ignore misinformation and home remedies promoted online.
It is absolutely vital that we pay attention and that we follow that expert evidence-based policy and decision-making, the guidance that is provided to us.
Vaccines are free in BC and available through doctors and pharmacists. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
A warning now about our next story. We have more on an investigation that revealed the failures by the authorities to protect 3 young BC children who suffered disturbing neglect. There are growing calls for an overhaul of our province's child protection system. CTV's Michelle Bernoro has the details.
It's cases like this one involving 3 children described by relatives as feral when they first came into care that reveal not just the cracks, but what critics call the complete failures in BC's child welfare system.
I've asked over and over and over again, who's going to be held responsible for what's happened to these kids?
Despite repeated calls to social services, it was only when the children's parents contacted the ministry themselves in December 2023 that the siblings were finally taken into care. Relatives who can't be identified to protect the children say the kids were nonverbal, not potty trained, and eating their own feces after being severely neglected and locked in their rooms daily. The haunting question now, could ministry mistakes lead to a similar tragedy?
Based on the additional checks and balances that have been established and the expectations, I would say no, it is much less likely that that would happen now. The caveat being it's also dependent upon staff being able to follow through.
And staffing levels remain a big concern for the representative for children and youth, who says BC is short hundreds of social workers.
There are significant vacancies around the province, and it's not that there is an effort being made to recruit people.
The Minister of Children and Family Development was not available for an interview, but said in a statement that despite global shortages, they have seen an almost 20% increase in frontline staffing in the last 2 years, but that they recognize there's more work to be done. The representative continues to believe BC's child protection system needs an overhaul and must shift its focus to prevention.
The system right now is very siloed, People are not communicating, they're not collaborating. We shouldn't be walking people to the ledge. We should be walking people to a better outcome.
But she says there have been improvements. For example, in the case of these siblings, repeated calls to authorities were not looked at as a whole, but rather in isolation.
Now, when there's more than one call within a certain period of time or multiple calls, then it's required to go up from the frontline worker to a team leader for further review.
The minister agrees significant change is needed. We are working toward a renewed model of child well-being that focuses on prevention, care, and supporting families before they find themselves in crisis. Meanwhile, the guardian of these children was supported through the representative's office as she fought to get these kids support. But she says they still face lifelong damage from severe neglect.
There's still some really hard days. Every day can still be hard.
And despite changes by the ministry, she worries other children may continue to slip through the cracks of a system she says is broken. Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Vancouver.
We head to Surrey, where shots were fired at a cafe owned by a famous South Asian actor. As CTV's Yasmin Gada reports, it's creating more fear in the South Asian community that has been rocked by similar attacks.
10 shots fired from a vehicle at Cap's Cafe in Surrey overnight. The brazen violence captured in this video circulating on social media. Just days after South Asian celebrity Kapil Sharma and his wife opened the cafe in Newton.
It's shocking. It's something that is undoubtedly traumatizing.
The shooting happened just after 2 Thursday morning when staff were still inside. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Investigators on scene throughout the day canvassing for clues. Several bullet holes visible in the windows as well as shattered glass. News outlets in India reporting that a Khalistani separatist leader has claimed responsibility.
Often in these investigations and incidents like this, people come forward on social media wanting to take credit very quickly for it, but we obviously have to let the evidence guide our investigation.
The Bollywood star hosts the Kapil Sharma show, with each episode racking up millions of viewers. The local Sikh community say pointing fingers is dangerous, with many already on edge.
People are concerned that Sikhs are getting blamed for no reason.
Gurpreet Singh Sahota is a South Asian radio host. He claims the reports are part of an Indian government misinformation campaign targeting Sikh separatists. The shooting at Sharma's restaurant is reminiscent of other South Asian stars being targeted here.
A couple of years ago, Karan Aujla's house in Abbotsford shot. Then later on, North Vancouver, Gippy Garewal and other stars' house has shot. And then in Victoria, AP Dillon's house had shot. And Lawrence Bishnoi gang took responsibility.
A gang the premier wants declared a terrorist organization. It comes as police say there have been 19 extortion attempts reported to them this year alone, many targeting Surrey's South Asian community.
At this time, there's been no link made to any ongoing or past or present extortions, but it's not something that we've ruled out.
Police say the investigation is in the early stages and they will now be reviewing CCTV video and work to find a suspect. Yasmin Gandam, CTV News, Surrey.
And now we take a look at both your nightly and weekly weather forecast. On the north coast, the forecast for tonight expects a chance of showers at a low of 12 degrees, while the rest of the week is most likely to get a couple of rainy days, then some mixed sun and cloud days before going back to all clouds as their high bounces between 14 and 17 degrees. In the Terrace Kitimat area, their night is also expected to get a chance of showers, but with their low being 11 degrees, and their weekly forecast should start off cloudy and rainy before progressively getting much sunnier, while the high shifts from 15 to 28 degrees. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, tonight's weather should include more chances of showers, although with a low of 7 degrees, and as for the upcoming week, they'll also see rain for a little bit before the sun comes out later, and the high will move from 17 to 26 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. Highway 16 has construction work, bridge maintenance, line painting, utility work, industrial traffic, and road maintenance work. Highway 37 has bridge construction, roadside brushing, bridge maintenance, and crack sealing. Highway 37A is still dealing with falling rocks between west of Esiaden and east of Stewart, plus maintenance and paving operations. And the Nishka Highway has some line painting. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the View of the Province's highway cams. Still to come, the debate over open net salmon farms in BC rages on. Welcome back. Even as the federal government has ordered the removal of open net salmon farms on the BC coast by 2029, the debate between the industry and its opponents rages on. CTV's Ben Milger has more on what both sides want to hear from the new fisheries minister in Mark Carney's cabinet.
In a bid to protect wild salmon stocks, the feds have ordered open net fish farms out of BC waters over the next 4 years. But industry advocates are pointing to this review, saying it tells a different story about the impact the farms have on wild fish.
Shutting down salmon farms will have no detectable effect on wild salmon populations. And so, we're not the decision makers, but certainly my recommendation would be to revisit this.
For years, advocates and opponents of fish farms have presented wildly different takes on similar science and studies. So it's no surprise the industry is lined up behind this one. With a new prime minister in office since the ban was announced, BC salmon farmers hope the feds will reconsider.
We're hoping to get our message to Carney that there is a significant opportunity here to expand salmon farming and have it be a very sustainable food producing sector that boosts the economy in Canada.
The First Nations Wild Salmon Alliance has been leading the charge against the salmon farming industry in BC for years.
I think that they're in a desperate state right now with the ban being already announced for 2029. We can expect these opinion pieces to come out because as I understand it, this is not new science.
Neither the salmon farmers nor the Wild Salmon Alliance have had a chance to meet with new Fisheries and Oceans Minister Joanne Thompson, and neither side has any idea whether she plans to revisit the open net fish farm ban.
We're all on the edge of our seat waiting to find out what's going to happen. Everybody's got their ears to the ground and listening for whispers around the campfire.
Until the ban takes effect, BC remains a West Coast outlier, as all U.S. states from Alaska to California have already phased out open net pen fish farms. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
It was a promise made by the federal Liberals 4 years ago to implement $10 a day childcare across the country by 2026. Well, a new report shows Ottawa is set to miss that deadline, and the data also shows Metro Vancouver is home to some of the most expensive daycare nationwide. CTV's Craig Krause has the story.
Finding childcare is easier said than done for many parents in parts of BC.
I'm a little bit upset that there's not more affordable options.
Options once promised back in 2021 to cost $10 a day, a price Crystal Gortz has yet to see, facing a wait list of 2 years.
$750 a month for daycare, which increases to $1,100 during the summer months.
Losing out on hundreds of dollars every month, and she's not alone. A report from the left-leaning think tank Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives shows the country is expected to miss its 2026 deadline to implement $10 a day childcare nationwide. Only 6 provinces and territories are meeting that fee target. BC, not one of them.
In places like Richmond or Surrey, we're continuing to see really quite high fees in the $30, $40 a day range.
The highest in the country, although McDonald says Vancouver, due in part to nonprofits and more rapid expansion of the program, has about half of the spaces being $10, a disparity that the BC Conservatives are calling on Premier David Eby to address.
This $10 a day promise is really an unattainable fantasy.
The BC childcare critic urging the province to remove the necessary red tape for childcare providers to increase spaces.
Let's be transparent with the public. Let's go back to the drawing table and rework this. It's a great idea.
In a statement, Lisa Bair, the Minister of Education for Childcare, says the previous government let the cost of childcare rise 3 times higher than the rate of inflation, canceled the $14 a day program, and cut subsidies. Bair notes the NDP has delivered 17,000 $10 spaces and is on track to meet next year's target of 20,000. In the meantime, parents are left waiting for that relief.
What's next for you and your family?
Well, I don't know because I'm having a really hard time getting ahead.
Craig Crow, CTV News, Vancouver.
And now we turn our attention to how the stock markets are looking as of today compared to yesterday. The Canadian dollar remained the same. The price of gold is up $38.30. Oil is up $1.88. Natural gas is up 2 cents. Aluminum is up $29. In Toronto, the TSX is down 59.05 points. The Venture Index is up 10.98. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 279.13, and NASDAQ is down 45.13. Still ahead, Terry Fox's brother recently completed his own lengthy journey. Welcome back. Terry Fox's brother Daryl has reached the end of an emotional journey. He cycled more than 7,000 kilometers across the country, starting in Vancouver and ending right where Terry began his Marathon of Hope now 45 years ago. CTV's Garrett Berry reports.
For 1 month and 1 day, Daryl and a team of 7 other riders have traveled throughout the country, pushing through the hills and the heat from Vancouver to Thunder Bay to here, the end of the road in St. John's.
I always feel emotional. I've accepted that a long time ago, that, part of the healing process is showing emotion.
This is Daryl's biggest journey yet, retracing in reverse his older brother's footsteps.
I was tired in 1980 getting up every morning at 4:30, and I wasn't running a marathon a day on artificial leg. So to be on the other side really proved to me that what Terry did was incredible. I don't have words to describe it.
The fundraiser has taken in more than $1 million for the Terry Fox Foundation, hitting the group's fundraising goal.
I'll never forget one of the receptions in Toronto when it reached a peak, the Marathon of Hope reached a peak, and he was asked, what do you hope comes from all the support you're getting here today? And he said, more money.
Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
A 56-year-old man and his 72-year-old father are suing the Anglican Church of Canada, claiming the son was conceived after the father was sexually assaulted by a female residential school employee in 1968. Court documents filed this week in BC Supreme Court say the father was 14 years old when he was sexually assaulted by a school supervisor, and the father and son only recently found out that they were related, which was confirmed by DNA testing. The civil claim said the son was given out to a non-Indigenous family, and he had no knowledge of his Indigenous heritage and lost out on decades of federal benefits by not having Indian status. It says the plaintiffs sought compensation from the church after discovering they were related, but the church allegedly claimed it was absolved of liability by a settlement of another lawsuit by the father back in 2008. That is all of our news for now. For everyone here at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin, and thank you for watching. We will see you next time.